teams from the best of Australia's car building and car tuning workshops to see who can build the toughest street monster. Our teams will go head to head in a final fuel-burning, rubber-shredding competition.
In this episode, we talk to Nathan Higgins about his latest development. Superformance adds some serious muscle to the T-bucket, and Horsepower Factory teams up with the boys from Shockworks to sort out the Stinger's springs. But first, Master Tuner Spiro Papadamatos takes us out for a ride in this powerful pony.
This is a 2016 Ford Mustang. This particular vehicle is one of my favourite cars. Basically, it's just a 5-litre Coyote V8 engine in it from factory. We bought this car to use it for development work so that we can show our clients what we can do and they can come and drive and have a look at the packages in the flesh. This particular vehicle, we've installed the 2.9-litre Whipple supercharger kit to it, and basically it's all tuned up, ready to go. We'll take it for a drive and see how she performs. This particular vehicle that I'm road testing is actually our development car. We buy cars in our workshop to physically kit them up, experiment with them so that we know what modifications we can do to those cars for our clients. It's powered by a 5-litre GT Coyote engine. It comes from factory with roughly 310 kilowatts at the flywheel, which equates to around about 225 rear wheel kilowatts on our chassis dynamometer. Other than cosmetics that we've done, some paint stripes, painted the brake calipers, some bigger wheels, and of course we've done Petter's coilovers in it so that we can lower the stance to give the car a better look. So the big wheels and the suspension just make the car look so much faster. Doesn't necessarily go faster, but it looks faster. Other than that, we haven't done anything else to the car bar a 3-inch exhaust and of course fitted the 2.9-litre Whipple supercharger package to it. We haven't done headers or the catalytic converters themselves because you don't really need it. For everyday driving, the amount of power that this car has generated anyway is more than enough. What I'd like to talk about now is basically the benefits of a supercharger. So you've got progressive type side-mounted superchargers, and of course you have positive displacement superchargers that bolts directly on top of the engine, which is hence what a Whipple is. The superchargers that are side-mounted, they have a pulley. They have a turbo impeller on the intake side of it. And generally what they do, they need revolutions to make them flow more air. The problem is that the progressive type supercharger, if you're doing say 3,000 RPM, that's going to generate maybe 4 or 5 pound of boost at that point. But to get to 10 pound or 8 pound, you might have to rev it to 6,000-7,000 revs. So you're going to get your peak power 100%, but your mid-range torque isn't going to be as good as a positive displacement supercharger. They have big vanes inside, so they're called the rotor pack, and they can flow so much air that the minute you stomp the throttle and open it and the engine starts to pick up revs, they instantly produce boost. So positive displacement superchargers 100% make better down-low, mid-range torque and power. This particular car, we have fitted the 2.9-litre on it. Now, Whipple have come out with the Generation 3 3-litre version of the same kit. They now make their rotor packs in-house rather than outsource them. They put bigger bearings in the supercharger, which made it more robust. They've got better oiling design for them, and they've increased the flow at the front of the housing. And overall, with all these changes, they were able to achieve an extra 80 horsepower with a very similar capacity supercharger. The benefit of having a larger capacity supercharger fitted to your vehicle in comparison to a smaller supercharger is when you don't increase the boost pressure as much, you're putting less stress on the engine. So we can make similar power levels at less boost with a larger blower. You can also have the option to tune it more aggressively if preferred. Some people are happy with the off-the-shelf type package where you just get in, drive it and off it goes. And mate, let me tell you now, it's more than enough. 430 rear wheel kilowatts is more than enough power for the street. That equates to roughly 550 kilowatts at the engine. It's between 7 and 750 horsepower. You don't need any more than that, you know, like it's just too much for the road anyway. driving this car under normal circumstances and the car just purring, right? This car converts from a cat or a pussy to a lion instantly by the stab of the throttle. Just instant response. Well, I should have said maybe a pony to a stallion in this particular car because it's a Mustang. But anyway, this particular package on the 5-litre Coyote, it's just something else. Come down and see us at Autotech Engineering and see if we can help you out with your supercharger for your Mustang.
Next up, the Kia Stinger gets shocked.
Okay, so I've just booked the Stinger in with Chris and Brett at Shockworks. One of the complaints I had about the Stinger was the suspension, and I've had a good talk to them, and they're going to replace the struts with coilovers. They've got a huge amount of experience actually with Stingers in race conditions, so they've got a lot of history and understanding of the car. So really looking forward to what they can do. They feel very confident that they can get a really good outcome for us, so we'll get it down there.
Well, we have a Kia Stinger as a company car at our Korean manufacturing plant. So Chris, my son, had spent 2 months in Korea and spent a lot of time developing the coilover suspension for the Kia.
I tuned one of the very first Kia Stinger development vehicles over there, so that had about 500 horsepower. That was an all-wheel drive one, so it handles a little bit dynamically different to the local car, but that thing was incredibly quick. That was tuned on a racing tyre, that had aero front and rear, and we were able to get some serious times out of that.
I was also part of the warranty team, so I had a good idea of what causes warranty and what problems that lie in dampers over a period of time. So our goal was to build a really robust, long-lasting damper without the tuning restrictions that I'd always had tuning for car companies. At the front, we're running our 40mm high-flow digressive piston and an inverted monotube strut, and that has 12 stages of damping force.
This is an inverted monotube strut. This is like you might see on a motorcycle. It reduces unsprung weight because the actual fixed point of the weight of the damper is in the mounted to the body, and then you have the rod. So the rod is actually inside of this here.
In the rear runs our big bore 45mm high flow digressive piston and also 12 stages of damping force. We have separate spring and shock in the rear, but we have an adjustable alloy spring perch. The front has adjustable base, so you can adjust the height there, and alloy top mounts with camber adjustment. Basically, this shows our digressive performance, but what we can do with our piston, we can change the knee point back and forth where we want to go, or basically the gradient. This is basically where the car breathes, where it runs over undulations and breathes. This is where we want the roll damping, up to probably about 800mm per second, and then we get more into the impact velocities there. So we don't really have any limitations on what damping force we can achieve with this piston.
When Rob gets the car back, he's going to notice initially a lot more initial body control, where the car feels more glued to the road without feeling every bump in the road. You'll see a bump come along and the car will blow over it, but then you can throw the wheel at 90 degrees and the car will react. You're not going to have that delay waiting for the body to catch up.
So today I've taken out the Stinger to test out the new coilovers that have been fitted by the boys at Shockworks. I always felt like it felt a bit unstable, and off the line it just lacked grip, and I was really interested to see what the boys at Shockworks could do. I was a little bit concerned because part of it meant that we were going to lose the magnetic ride control, and that's where you change your modes from sport to comfort. It alters the dampening in the shock magnetically. The result, though, of fitting these coilovers is not a compromise. I mean, when you're driving, the car doesn't feel too harsh. Low speeds over undulations or small bumps doesn't feel too harsh. Start to push the car and it feels really good. It feels really positive. More importantly, some of the things that I had concerns about, like torque steer and grip, have improved dramatically. So they've done a fantastic job, and the car just feels really positive. I mean, when you come out of a corner and you accelerate hard, even if you get a bit of wheel spin, before it just felt like you weren't completely in control. Now it just feels like a different car. It just feels like you've got control. It's like it's on a string. I'm really impressed and really look forward now to the next stage, which is probably going to be getting this car out to the track. We do want to do some more mods, but I think before we do that, let's go to the racetrack and see what sort of numbers the car's pulling, see if we've got any issues with tunes or grip or what our next challenges are before we go add more power to it. So yeah, there's some testing to be done and really looking forward to seeing what we can do.
The Blue Chem fuel system cleaner is added directly to the fuel tank for up to 80 litres of unleaded fuel. Using nanotechnology by cleaning and lubricating, Blue Chem fuel system cleaner will protect and clean your entire fuel system from condensation and carbon deposits to form a combustible liquid which burns cleanly away. Create a long-lasting protective film on all surfaces from corrosion. This will result in added performance, better fuel consumption and reduced emissions. Coming up, the team at Superformance start to assemble the freshly painted T-bucket.
So we've had a heap of progress on the T-bucket build. Basically the whole frame had all the components fitted to it with the brake lines were finished off, fuel lines. We've fitted all the trans cooler, the e-stop handbrake. We've dummy assembled all the differential with the handbrake set up on the yoke with the centre in. We've modified and made panhard bars. We're running injection. It needs all high quality products. Speedflow again has come to the party. They've got heaps of high quality products for us. We're going to use all their fittings, all their lines, all their hard lines, all their filters. Basically everything we can, we're going to use Speedflow. We've had to extend the headers to get the certain desired location of our turnout. We place our turnout 100mm from the rear tyre. Obviously enough flex in the tyre won't get near the turnout and it'll look really good. So basically stripped it all down, pulled the body off. The body's gone into the bodywork section where we're making the seats and all the parts that go inside the body.
Todd's designed us an interior, so I've got to build off his drawing pretty much. Got to build some framework to house all the aluminium parts that are going to aid the trimmer in doing his job. It's pretty hard working off a drawing because you have to make changes along the way and the time limit is obviously a big factor. But yeah, we just got to work with Todd and shape him and then we sort of got to work it out together sort of thing. It's going to be a struggle for them to fit in there, but if I can fit in there, hey, like, I'm pretty much the same build as a footy player. Yeah.
We've actually gone with the Lexus colour, which is really, really nice. At night time it's quite dark and then obviously out in the sun it's quite bright. So it's nearly like a candy colour, but it's a clear over base. So now that all the components for the frame have been painted, I'm going to have Brett and Andrew assemble the main suspension components in the frame so we can get the frame back on its wheels.
Yeah, so what we're doing is laying out all the parts that need to be bolted to the chassis. The chassis has been removed off the rotisserie, ready to have all the parts fitted onto it. We're polishing anything that's stainless just to brighten it up, just to make it pop a bit more before it gets bolted on. The first thing we do is we go through and tap any holes that have been drilled and tapped, just to clean all the paint out of the threads, just so that makes it for the bolts to go in easier. Then the chance of anything binding up is a lot less.
Stinger Australia, who we've dealt with for many years, have come to the party and they brought us in a new product, which is a Bluetooth little module. It's probably about 60mm in diameter. Quite slim, no big hand units are going in the car, so it's just a little control pad. You hook your phone up to it when you get in the car. You hit play and you just play through your phone's playlist like Spotify. They've also supplied us with some marine speakers, which we'll put in under the dash because we don't really want speakers as a feature. They're waterproof, so any water does get in the bucket with no roof, it's not going to be an issue. And they also have a little amplifier, which we're going to place in behind the seat, ready just for a straight install, which has been very helpful.
So this is a Dart SHP entry level block that we've used. We've also put a 383 stroker kit through it with a complete forged rotating assembly. We've had a custom grind Crow cam put in it as well. And then on the top, we've topped it off with a 671 version 1 blower from BDS.
Basically today we've got most of the chassis assembled. We've got all the suspension in, run our brake lines, our fuel lines. We've got the wheels, tyres. We've managed to now put the engine and transmission in. The boys are now putting in the PWR radiator. We changed this one slightly because we are going supercharged. We wanted a bit deeper core, which in turn we can fit a 16-inch spout fan on. This just allows for more airflow through the radiator core and better cooling system. We've lowered the radiator down through the chassis rails as well, so we're not sticking out way above the cowl of the actual bucket body. So now that most of the bodywork and the interior has been made, we're going to send the body off to Evan's trim shop to get the upholstery started. From there, they'll do all the seats and the door cards and the floor pans. A little bit of work in the back, we'll get it back, and then we'll do a little bit more body work, put it into paint, get it painted, and then assemble the body onto the frame.
After the break, Lee from Kavanagh Auto Parts drops in on Nathan with some goodies for his latest build.
Hey Nathan, got some valves for you. This is your SR20 valves, the titaniums from Victory.
Hey, cool, thanks for that, Lee. Come and have a check this out. This is my new test engine that I'm building. We build one or two every year to test all the products we've been developing over the years. And this is a 6.2 standard block with a 4-inch stroker kit in it that the guys obviously sell.
The great thing with these parts now is they're all off the shelf and affordable. Nobody has to go out and buy special custom parts. It's the real world engine parts. We stock and sell, and we concentrate on parts that don't give us a problem.
I'd be selling a few of these stroker kits to the LS boys, wouldn't you?
We sell a lot of them, and the great part is they're easy to balance. Different combinations are available, from whether you've got a 5.7 litre stroking it up to a 7 litre and onwards.
Yeah.
They're all off the shelf these days, so it makes it really nice to work with.
So we're going to actually test two new products on this motor. We're going to actually test our brand new LS3 manifold that we've been working on for a few years. It's been a long process, but hopefully in the next coming weeks it will show some good results. And also we just got a shipment of Brodex heads in just a couple of weeks ago, and these are the new Brodex heads that they specially made for me. Got like 20 sets of them in last week, so we quickly got a set done. R&D's been done on the head probably a couple of months before I got them. This new Brodex head is going to have a standard factory rocker on it.
But the real world is the factory rocker is a hell of a good part. Put a bearing upgrade in it and it's pretty hard to beat.
Oh yeah, you can't go wrong with it. It's a really good thing. Like, obviously, I make my own 6-bolt Australian head, which takes a T&D or Gestel shaft mount, which is more top end, which I like it that way because it's obviously it's a top end engine. But people on the street, want to stick to something a little bit more budget build, which this is.
This is the guy that's going to be building a pretty damn good street engine in the real world, hydraulic motor.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh, the LS market is pretty good, but it's a great engine. It's people have put into all applications. We've got customers now racing them in marine applications, and they work exceptionally well, and they're very affordable compared to what other people would spend on engines.
Yeah, we'll have to wait till new top secret small block Chevy stuff comes out. We'll have to give the LS a bit of a run for its money, eh?
That'll be interesting to see. You're going to have to tell me more about this one. You haven't told me yet. What's going on with this?
Wait a little longer. Hopefully on the last program we'll release a new product from Higgins Race Heads.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll give the LS boys, even though I like the LS, we'll give them a run for their money, I reckon.
Next time on Rides Down Under Workshop Wars. If you want horsepower, we've got you covered. The boys at HBF cram another 100 kilowatts into this WRX. The LS Stoner motor from HBW gets a freshen up with new internals. And Valley Grunt go wild with the Goldfleck 50 style. If you think you've got what it takes to be part of Workshop Wars, contact us for our next season.